Let's get into some football. Jeff, we've got on the line with us president of the NFL Alumni Association, three-time Super Bowl champion, lots of honors I could read off. Bart Oates, thanks for a few minutes today. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm here. Thank you. Great to be on.
Thank you so much for the time. I wanted to ask you, we're a Philadelphia radio station. People may not know your professional career actually started here in Philadelphia. Tell us about life playing with the stars here in Philadelphia.
It was awesome. I would have had the league survive. That's where I would have spent my entire career. I loved it. We had a great team. We very successful. And that stems from Miles Tannenbaum, the owner, and Carl Peterson, the general manager, and Jim Moore, the head coach. And so, heck, there's still guys in the coaching in the league who were assistant coaches with that Stars team. And so that was a lot of very fond memories.
Just how good were you guys? I saw you say that you thought that the 85 Stars of the USFL could have beaten the 85 Eagles. Really?
Well, listen, I was young and and we were a good team. So I knew that was never going to happen. So I could say whatever I wanted.
Yeah, you had confidence for sure.
Well, not only was that a good team.
Age has mellowed me a little bit.
That team was so good. I believe you won 2 USFL championships before you won your 3 Super Bowls in the NFL. What made you make the decision? But we have the NFL draft, and it's coming up shortly, and it's kind of for college football players, it's a big deal. The NFL draft. You were in this era where a lot of players made a business decision to try this new league instead. How as a young adult do you make the decision, or how did you make the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to go over there instead of the NFL?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it was for me, it was a business decision. I came out of Brigham Young University, and while we had some, our quarterbacks tended to do pretty well. There were no linemen that had gone on and played in the NFL. And I wasn't I was coming out the same year. There was some Dave Remington and some other really highly recruited and noted offensive linemen. So, I was like, if I was going to get drafted, it was going to be a very high round, somewhere 7th or 8th rounder. And, then I get stuck behind somebody. And this way I knew that I could, for me, I was going to go to a team. I knew it was a running team. I was already told that. And in spite of that, in spite of me only coming from a passing team, they said, you're going to be the guy. And then Miles Tannenbaum, and we negotiated with my agent that it was, he negotiated a fully guaranteed 3-year contract, in a time where, if I'd gone to the NFL, I'd get maybe a small signing bonus and very unlikely to, I wasn't expecting to really play very long. And so I was kind of a nerdy guy. I had I was finishing up an accounting degree, and I knew I was going to go to law school. So I knew that with the contract I was getting with the Stars, even if it only played 1 year, because it's personally guaranteed by the owner, I was going to be able to pay for my law school. So that was my business decision.
And you end up getting to the Giants, which you don't think will last long. You have 125 consecutive games played during your Giants career. What was it like to play with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick as your coaches?
Well, I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to deal with Bill Belichick because he was a defensive coordinator. Parcells is a pain in the butt. He was just he was very demanding, and he held people accountable. It wasn't easy. He called people out, and if you were thin-skinned, you were going to be you were not going to be a happy camper with Bill Parcells. It's back in an era when the coaches they controlled, they ran the asylum as opposed to the inmates, and today, which is, and rightfully so. I mean, to me as a player, I think it's smart. They control through the CBA how they practice, how hard they, how long you practice, how much you get to hit. So these guys coming out today are in a much better physical shape than, back in the 80s, 90s, and prior to that.
You talk about earning the money to put yourself to law school. Jeff's the lawyer here on the show, but I was impressed. You attended law school in the off season of playing football at Seton Hall. How'd you manage that?
Yep. I got accepted, so had to apply to law school and got accepted. And back in the day when it really wasn't that much money, quite frankly, so it was. And listen, in football, we unlike the other sports, hockey, baseball, and basketball. I mean, our season's only 4 months long. It's a short season, 5 months if you include the preseason. So literally, from the time you start work till the time your season's over with, it's 5 months. And so I got 7 months. And so even if you make the playoffs, you still can get in and get a semester in. I would usually get a semester plus a partial semester during the half a semester during the summer months because we didn't go to camp until the end of July. And then I would take a class, usually a class, maybe writing class or a night class during the season that I have to go maybe once a week. And so it was that way I was able to get through it. It took me about 5 years during the off season, but compared to the guys that go to night school, for instance, there was a huge night school segment, and those are the people that just holding full-time jobs year-round, going to school year-round for 4 years. That was what I was doing was easy compared to what they were doing.
We've had one of your former teammates, Harry Carson, on the show to talk about some of the work that the NFL Alumni Association has done and is doing. You're president of that association. One of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show was not only to talk about in general the fact that players like you do so much with the platform that you have and continue to do it after you leave, but also specifically what you're doing for the Bids for Kids event that's coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the work that you're doing with the NFL Alumni Association?
Awesome, and thanks for asking. Yeah, we are an organization with 39 chapters around the country. We are created by former players. We're run by the former players. We invite anybody that wants to be, we have memberships for anybody that wants to support our missions of caring for our own and caring for kids in our community. And again, the Bids for Kids is kind of our first virtual fundraiser, and it's available. It's actually this coming Wednesday, the night before the draft, this coming Wednesday, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we going to have tons of items. We got people like Kurt Warner and Santonio Holmes, Bubba Paris. I'll be there, and it's kind of easy because you just tune in virtually and have access. We've got Super Bowl tickets that people can get. We've got over 150 silent auction items. We've got live auction items of trips and experiences and sports memorabilia, and we were just excited. I mean, this thing is excited to be able to do this, and in this world with the pandemic and, where people are used to doing virtual things. And so, there's door prizes for anybody that attends or makes a bid or a pledge. As a matter of fact, anybody that registers gets a free vacation voucher. And so you can just go on our website, and which is NFLalumni.org, and just go to the Bids for Kids and register and sign up and attend. I think it's going to be fun, and spend as much time or as little time as anybody wants. But it helps us achieve that mission of caring for kids, where we can take those monies and we can help the local causes and other causes that are really that's where our players are so involved, and many of them are philanthropic and make a real difference in their community. And so we use this and leverage the alumni and that experiences we have and notoriety we've gained playing in the NFL to make our communities better.
So many of the players that we talk to have a coach or somebody in their life that was the motivation or the light bulb went off to them saying, I can use this platform for something beyond just being a football player. For Hugh, who was that person, or what was that moment where the light bulb went out for you?
That's a good question. I think it was a combination of my father and my older brother. My dad, just because of the example he set and the person he was. My older brother played 7 years in the NFL, and so I saw it from a perspective and he played for 4 different teams and got moved around. So I saw it as a very insecure business, but I also saw it as a way that saw that how he was able to parlay it. I wasn't original. He was the kind of the first guy. He went on and became an attorney. So, and while he was playing, he did the same thing going to school during the off season. So I just basically copied him. But it was the idea that, and you see so many guys that go, that have that, that passion to make a change and say, we can do, whether the social changes, whether they're, and whatever that interest, whatever those guys, and there's so many that do, that set up, either they have their own foundation, they support very, philanthropic causes. My wife is president of a foundation, and is, so I've been involved for 30 years, and give the children hope. And so it's a research foundation to help cure children with neurological issues. And so that's something that we've been very involved with, but there's hundreds of causes out there that guys support.
And we'll make sure to put the NFL alumni information out on our social media accounts so people can learn more about that. Wanted to get back to football for one sec with the draft coming up. You're a guy who protected some of the great quarterbacks in the league, Steve Young, Phil Simms, to name a few. As an offensive lineman, how do you know when you have that guy that can take you to a title as everybody now searches for their quarterback in this draft?
You don't. I mean, listen, I think pretty much you take most guys and you surround them with the right team, the right people. And that's why, individually one guy can't do it. And take Tom Brady. He had great support, and that, listen, there weren't great defenses, but he had, overall, but he had enough people and he had good coaches and systems. And then he was smart enough to say, I know that Tampa Bay's got a lot of really good people, and went out there and, and played well. But you put a inferior supporting cast around even a Tom Brady, he's not going to win Super Bowls. So yeah, if you put the right system together, I mean, with Phil was a different sort. He had this offensive lineman mentality, tough as nails. I know the guys, fans in Philly don't really, those that remember him, just remember him as a tough guy. He was a competitor, and regardless of how many times Reggie White knocked him down, he was going to get up.
All right. Well, Bart, I do have a question for you about whether or not you noticed the talent at a young age. The ball boy during your days in San Francisco, I believe, was Kyle Shanahan. Did you know back then that he was going to turn out to be this genius young coach?
No, not a clue. No, not a clue. He was actually a ball boy. My son was he was a runner for the team. He was a guy that was responsible for running the pictures that they would take. At the time, they wouldn't take them on the field. They'd take them upstairs, and somebody had to run them down to the team in between. But so he has more memories of them than I do.
Well, Bart, we can't thank you enough for the time and for what you do with the NFL Alumni Association. Like we said, we'll continue to share the information and try and share what you guys are doing. You're making a difference. So thanks so much for the time, and you have a great day.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Listen, we've got, Philadelphia is probably one of our best chapters, run by Lee Woodall, former teammate with the 49ers, but had grown up in the Philadelphia area and went to college there. And so we that's what we do. These guys that come back and say, I want to make a difference, and this organization can make a difference. And, it's once you play in the league, it's always there, and you never, and it becomes something about who you are, and it defines you. And so it's just a way for guys to be able to say, hey, here's a way to really give back, not only to the guys, your teammates and your brothers, but also to your community and to these they're very deserving causes.
Well, thanks so much for the time, and we'll definitely have you guys back on to keep talking about what you're doing. You take care of yourself.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it.